We are live with our second Quaranchat, but before we start chatting, we are going to shoot this link out to our audiences who can join in and view our conversation live and also comment. So I will
Thanks for
let
carrying this conversation while I'm
do
copying and
that very
pasting. This is so good.
quickly before we start
Yeah,
our
do that.
official introduction.
All right,
Yeah, do that, Tim.
there it
I,
is.
when we did this with Sarah Bowen Shea from Another Mother Runner, she was like, "I want to have this." Did you watch The Jinx on HBO?
No.
Okay, well now watch it because everybody's looking for shows to watch. It's very good.
Yeah,
If you
I'm
liked
surprised you haven't seen it.
Making a Murderer, you will like Jinx
Didn't
on
watch that one
HBO.
either, actually.
Hatcher.
Am I way behind?
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody in quarantine right now's jaw just dropped. They're like, "What?"
No, because I've been watching Tiger King.
Eh.
Okay, we'll talk about that too in a bit. But one, now you can add Making a Murderer on your list, 2 seasons, and then watch The Jinx, which is like another kind of version of mystery. And
It's
no,
like a murder mystery a little bit.
I can't even
Brave right now for the
Sweet.
next, I'm not sure really how long. How long are we talking?
30
30,
minutes.
45.
30 minutes. Links in the bio. Come join us. Bye.
We're not on that video.
I know,
Okay.
but I want our viewers to see that I'm excited. And that's how you
Well,
know.
I'm going to tag at BibRave and Team in Training.
Yeah. While you're
And
doing
then you
that,
can have my undivided attention.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm going to introduce you to people who might not know you, this is Ryan Hatcher. Ryan Hatcher is Vice President of Team in Training, which is the endurance focused fundraising arm of the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Good so far?
It's great.
Okay. Okay. He's a close friend of ours. He's a close friend of the BibRave brand. We love all of the amazing work that Team in Training does to raise money for research and some therapeutic medicines around blood cancer. So, like we said, leukemia, lymphoma, really some awesome work. And you guys have always been leading the way in like how people raise money around endurance sports.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a program that's been around for quite a while, and it's I've worked for LLS for 11 years, and to be the steward of this brand and to get to work for the organization, it's a gift. So
For sure.
appreciate you guys' support.
So you are under lockdown like the rest of us. You're
Yeah,
located in Virginia Beach. How's life been just personally under lockdown? And then also would love to hear just a little bit about how it's impacted the Team in Training business.
yeah, sure. Personally, I probably everybody's got their own unique narrative, right? So my mom and my mother-in-law are both immunocompromised, so I'm thankful that they are both within a mile of my wife and I, and we are doing their grocery shopping and they're taking it pretty seriously. So that, again, another gift, that they're taking it seriously. I think there's been like that social judgment around Virginia Beach, just like there probably has been all over the country, where like I'm out riding a bike and I see a couple of people running. I'm like, hey, what are they doing? And I realize I'm out at the same time. So I think personally, it's just been like an exercise in like affording people grace, a little more grace than we might typically, but also like trying to do my best to be a responsible citizen.
Jess, what were you talking about today when you said something about like moral fatigue?
Yes, there is a Rolling Stone article that we'll be able to add notes to our YouTube link later. We can add it there. And it just says like people are feeling tired because of the moral fatigue you have of making everyday decisions. Normally you don't have to think about, should I leave my house? Should I go grocery shopping?
Should I wipe down my groceries? Like
Right.
when I bring them in, like it can spiral out of control pretty quickly.
And now every single small decision has larger consequences beyond yourself. So you have to really think it through. And so when people are feeling exhausted, it's because of all of these small decisions now becoming very large decisions.
Yeah, it's like the complexity of life has skyrocketed, I feel like, and
Which is so
we
ironic
didn't really get a
because
ramp up time for it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like,
it's so ironic because it's so much more complex, but yet we're anchored in our homes. Like we're prevented from doing like 90% of what we would normally be doing, or maybe not that much, but it's weird because I agree with you. It is more complex, but it's just, I guess, surprising that something that is so limiting creates also so much more complexity.
So I'm going to
Yeah,
ask a
it's a good point.
question, but also let our viewers know that if you have a question, feel free to submit it. You should have a chat box to the right of your window, and then we can see your questions come in and queue them up. So let's talk about grocery shopping for somebody who is immunocompromised. Like,
Yeah.
because I recently talked to a friend who she wipes down her groceries and I haven't. So then I was like, oh, should I be doing that? Like, do you wear gloves when you go grocery shopping? Like, do you have additional considerations that other people might not be thinking about?
I think my additional considerations probably revolve around we shop for my mother, my in-laws, and my parents. Um, so where we shop, like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and some others, the Harris Teeter, they all have been pretty great about having like the wipes up front. So I take one of those, wipe the cart down. I don't wipe the food down. I just wash my hands when I get home, and I do my best not to touch my face, which I've probably done 3 times since we started.
So hard.
So
But you've been home. That's my thing. I'm like, oh, once I get home, I wash my hands, and then you feel so much relief because you don't have to stress about these things.
And it's
yeah,
so
man.
awkward to just watch her like as soon as she gets
Yeah.
in the door.
But it's like I know I don't think. But I do ask my mom to wipe the stuff home down, and my mother-in-law. Maybe it's just that they can do it for themselves. I bought it for them, but otherwise, probably not anything more than just the wipe when I walk in.
Yeah. On a more lighthearted note, we have a question from a listener, and then I will have the ability. Oh, here. It's popped up. What's the must have snack you need from the grocery store? So, on a more lighthearted note.
Whew. It's such a good. So my wife caught me. I bought a jumbo thing of Rice Krispie treats, and I tried to hide them. And
Why did
I
you
was going
hide them?
fishing the other night because, well, I didn't want like saturated fat shame, and I also didn't want her to steal them. So maybe both. And she caught me in the pantry stuffing two in my back pocket before I was about to go fishing, and she was like, "I was wondering what that crinkling was." So I'm gonna go, and I typically don't have them in the house, but maybe it was like I don't know. And when you're stressed, you go to a different place, and I just bought a lot of Rice Krispie treats, so maybe that's it for me.
Um,
I have one. I have one to share from
Okay.
us. I snuck a prop in to the YouTube live. So there are certain things, certain investments
Thin mints.
certain investments we made before the quarantine that really have turned out to be quite prophetic. This is
that was
one
like
of
a week or two before the lockdown where I got these outside Safeway, and I bought like 8 boxes.
so whoever's mom was like in charge of selling cookies was very happy to have bumped into Jessica Murphy that day because
Yeah.
Well, this is something that I should hide from Tim because I could like exist eating 2 cookies a day, which means 8 boxes could last me a long time, like probably 6 months. But Tim cannot exist in that like world.
a serving size is
Yeah, that's
four.
absurd.
A serving size
Yeah.
is 4.
So
The serving size is 2 sleeves.
no, I feel like I need my own stash so that mine can last longer. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I should eat more because we're gonna run out soon, and then I'm like, oh no, I can't. I just can't go down that path.
Did you just spill all over your face?
And in my shirt.
I'm so glad this
It's
is
purple, so it's a little darker where
There's additional,
it's wet.
like, there's more drops now on your shirt. So nice
Tim,
job.
what's
Yeah.
your must-have snack from the grocery store?
Is this like assuming some level of self-restraint? Because if the answer is no, then the answer is cereal. Or if the answer to that question is no, then my answer is cereal.
But you haven't purchased that, so
Right.
it has to be something you've been actually purchasing.
This is like kind of boring because I'm like, the snack go-to for me is almonds.
like an RX bar or something.
No, like almonds like is a good kind of like hunger curber. I don't have like a really good
You're
indulgence.
right, that's lame.
Cereal's pretty good.
But he
I mean, you
hasn't
haven't bought it. What kind of
purchased.
cereal?
I mean, if I'm going really crazy, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is just like pure crack cocaine for me.
Okay, but speaking of cereal, and then what my indulgent snack was going to be, which is ice cream. Do 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 do. So
Salt and straw.
yeah, those of you who follow me on social know I love Salt and Straw. I love getting their flavors every month, and they have March is normally they bring back the favorites. And since we've lived in Portland 5 years, maybe 6 years now, Pots of Golden Rainbows, which is a Lucky Charms cereal, always comes out in March. And this year they did not release Pots of Gold, and I was very upset. And then I saw on Twitter yesterday that it might be coming out, and it released today. So I bought 5 pints. I sent the link to Ryan. He was going to buy 5 pints, but You got saturated, fat
Shipping
shamed.
to the East Coast was $47.
Yeah,
I wish voice at mentions worked, like at Salt and Straw, WTF.
I
But
know.
that's frozen goods. 47. Like that actually seems like that's what it costs.
Yeah, with the dry ice, and then I think it has to be like overnight or
It's
2 day
3,000
shipping.
miles away to keep
Yeah.
stuff frozen.
Like our shipping was $10 because we're local and all the stores are shut down, so I
Oh,
paid
so
the $10.
47 bucks is a bargain.
Yeah.
This live chat is sponsored by Salt and Straw.
Anyways, speaking of ice cream and cereal, I just wanted to mention that. Anyways, how else has quarantine life been for you? I know you normally are on the road all the time. When was your last? Well, one, let's talk about how many flights did you take last year? Or do you have some type of like percentage of time you were on the road last year?
I don't, but I do have a kind of a shocking. I had a shocking realization after looking back at my calendar for quite a while, and that's I haven't been home for a month since 2012.
Wow, that's a pretty good one.
And that also means that my wife and I haven't spent a month together since 2012. So we're still married as of today. So we're making it so far.
Nice job, guys.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, that is shocking to me. So I'm honestly like gutted that we're going to see what we're going to see in this country and around the world. But in a way, like there is some like I don't know,
There's
like beauty in the fact that I get to rest and we get to spend time together and go on down the line. So you can always find something to be grateful for. And then at work, we've made some tough decisions recently, but we haven't had to lay off any full-time staff, which as a leader of a product line like that is for me and for our employees.
yeah.
But
So a lot of companies in the event space have had to pivot lately. Can you share details of like how you guys have been addressing pivoting your business when your sole fundraising mechanism is events, which are not a thing in the past month and not
sure.
going to be?
Yeah. For us, Team in Training as an entity has been around since 1988, and more than 650,000 people, actually now 700,000 people, have done an event with us.
Wow.
And raised $1.5 billion. So the tribe is big, the family is strong. And so when this all, I think, around the time when the NBA postponed the season and stuff really started to ramp up, we kind of made a strategic decision, which I think a lot of people made, which was we pulled all of our digital and our social ads for recruitment. And we decided to kind of go dark and for at least the rest of March, at least from an active selling perspective. And that gave us time to like pause to slow down to be able to speed up. And now that we're into April, we're trying to figure out like what's tone appropriate for entering back into the marketplace. Recruiting for events that our event partners like Chicago Event Management and the New York Roadrunners are planning to put on in the fall, which we're excited to be at. But to do so in a way that is cognizant of the environment that we now live in.
Yeah.
But it's been a gift, a really neat thing that we've done not that we've done. One of the most redeeming parts of the last 2 weeks at work for us is we decided to try to leverage the platform we have with our training app and some of the workouts that we were already doing virtually to just listen and to care for people. So we're doing like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, just open format, 30-minute workout. And the whole idea is it's a respite from a complex life. And we're doing a lot of stuff like that. We did virtual event weekends for our Asheville teammates, our New York City half teammates, our Lava Man Waikoloa teammates, and Hapalua half, which were going to happen this coming weekend. All of those teammates will get a virtual event weekend experience, which has been really fun. Mm-hmm. And starts on Friday and ends on Sunday night with an encouragement to get the miles in if it's socially appropriate and acceptable. So that's been really fun.
Yeah. Tell us about the virtual workouts and like what is the feeling from your teammates who trained? And I know a lot of times you guys have people who train who've been doing the events for multiple years, but you also have a lot of first timers, people who come and train with Team in Training to run their first marathon or do their XYZ. What have you guys been hearing?
There are certain platforms out there that already existed before we entered into this space where virtual is the new black, or however you want to say it. And actually, it's interesting. There are some bootstrapped ways to work out as well now. Zoom workouts, YouTube Live workouts, and honestly, like user friction for newbies is much higher on more complex platforms. But when you send someone a Zoom link and you're like, hey, just get on and let's talk, and I'll ride on my trainer and you ride on your trainer, we've found that that is more accessible. But it's also not as immersive. It's not as high quality. It's not as high touch. So it's been an interesting juxtaposition. We've been trying all the different platforms we can. We've done YouTube Live. We've done Zoom. We're using Zwift in the run and the cycle space. And we kind of just agreed to keep shipping it, like use every one. We've got, kind of a grid that we show our teammates for what their opportunities are. And so far, people have enjoyed it, but, I'm a little biased because we're the ones planning it. So we should probably ask them.
How has adoption been across the platforms? I'm curious because you have used so many, like, have you seen certain ones you like this for this and you like this platform for another reason?
Yeah. So for example, YouTube's great because it's lowest barrier to entry from an accessibility perspective, we found, but it's also challenging because there isn't a lot of face-to-face interaction opportunities. It's a chat function, right? Zoom is great because it's face-to-face. People that want to have their camera on can. If they don't want to have their camera on, they can still participate by listening in and having their camera off. Zwift has been great just because it's a tenured, mature platform that is just really high quality. And that's been great. Peloton, they're offering a free 3-month trial. So we've kind of like coalesced around that while not being able to host within that. What's gaining the most traction for us, honestly, though, is Zoom. Just because, again, low barrier to accessibility and there's no investment needed to be able to access it ad infinitum.
Yeah. Especially like 40-minute free meetings. Like it's very, very simple for people.
Yeah. And we actually have the chief information officer at Zoom, Harry Mosley, is on our board in the New York City chapter. And he's a really good man. They do really great work. And so it's pretty neat, amongst conversations like we're having where we see some of our dearest friends going through some of the most difficult times in their business lives. There obviously are some people doing well right now. Zoom is clearly one of them, and it's cool to be able to cheer for somebody that is having success amidst a tough time.
That's so true.
So shout out to Harry and Zoom for keeping us connected.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're definitely like having quite a moment.
Speaking of platforms,
they have a cycle team for our cycle reps.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Go Zoom.
Yeah.
Non-work related platforms. Have you tried House Party recently? Because that's all the rage these days.
I've heard, but I've not tried it yet.
Okay.
So I would probably, maybe I'll be a middle adopter.
Because we talked, maybe it was on a podcast recently. I've been wanting to try all the platforms because, again, we're not in the tech world, but we're in the social world. And so I find it like I want to try all the platforms and experience them. So Netflix Party was a thing that we tried and it was not successful. So I don't recommend people try Netflix Party. Too complicated, high barrier to entry, low payout. House Party, I highly recommend because you can FaceTime your friends and play games. So
it's not FaceTime though. They just have like a video chat portal within the platform.
FaceTime. I use the word FaceTime like the word Kleenex.
Xerox.
Yes. You can video message with your friends, right? And you can play like what is when you draw something people have to guess what it's called? Not charades, but Pictionary.
Pictionary.
Yes, you can play Pictionary with your friends. They have heads up built in, and there's like some other fun games. So again, I feel like people have been doing all these video chats with their friends to catch up, but like in a week or two, there's only so much catching up you can do with the person because you'll be like, oh, last time we talked about like 3 months worth of things to catch up on. What are we going to talk about this week?
Now it's just like the most inane shit that you can think of.
Yeah.
Thomas Neal says House Party is great. It worked pretty well. Like it was fun. We had Cholesterol Dave. We got some of his time. You can imagine he's like totally swamped these days, working all the time. But we like talked to him right after a shift, and it was nice for him to like have some social interaction. And it worked pretty well.
Yeah. And I run on beer. A BibRave Pro said, so bummed to hear Netflix Party didn't work out. I was bummed too, but the House Party games are awesome.
Also, let's hold out hope. Like Netflix Party had a lower imperative to be great
That's
like 3
true.
weeks ago. It was probably a neglected part of their offering. I bet it's getting renewed attention right now.
Do you know how much cash Netflix has right now?
Yeah.
I know.
So
It's definitely going to get
I
renewed.
heard some like number, like their numbers are up like 28%. I was like, 28? I would have thought like 78.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big user base. But
It's
yeah,
true.
I
It's
would have
true.
thought it was more than 28.
Our friend Mikey says we need to find a karaoke party app for Jess and Andy. Maybe somebody listening knows of one.
Well, no,
And
it's YouTube Live and you guys just just sing with each other.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
we'll see. But anyways,
Hey, Clemens.
hello.
Yeah, a lot of people supporting House Party here. Sorry, we can see these comments come through, Ryan, but you can't. So we're withholding the ones that are critical, and we're really sharing the positive ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our,
The 2 to 10 ratio.
That's why we're like
Or
scroll,
10 to 2 ratio.
scroll.
So I want to go back to something you said earlier. You were on a bike, you saw a group running. What should people do? Moral fatigue. So I personally have been experiencing this lately because Tim and I were on a trip. We were flying back home the day the NBA was canceled, or like the day before. Maybe it was like the tournament. NBA was canceled and the tournament was going to go no attendees. Or
I think South by Southwest had just been canceled, right?
yes. So when we got home, a lot of people were starting to work from home, and we started to meet up with 2 of our friends to do runs because we're like, hey, let's keep running. This is great. And so we did this for 2 weeks. But then obviously a lot changed quickly within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then there's been all of this like, okay, you should be running solo, but is running okay? Is it not okay? So I've been feeling that fatigue to figure out like what is okay. And I will put it out there. I just started running solo. So I was running with a small group of people up until last week because I thought
and let's
it was
like define that. Like small group was me and then 1 or 2 others.
correct.
So it was never like a big group, and we were rationalizing it to be like we can
Run
run
at a
2 by
distance.
2, create some separation there, but it's super hard. It is very, very hard to keep the appropriate distance with even four people. Like it's hard, and we were just like we're not doing a good job. We should just probably stop this.
Yes. So that's been it's been hard to like go through that process. Maybe it shouldn't have been so hard, but I guess it was hard. And how, like, I don't know if you have felt that amongst your communities, or have the team and training people been asking you guys, like, can we run? Have you been giving them guidance and all of that?
Yeah, great question. Obviously as a health-based organization, we'll be pretty meticulous with not with supporting any guidelines that come out. We actually have canceled all of our group trainings for the foreseeable future, really into May, and that, very well could get extended. And so that's another thing that, just being transparent, that I have to be really mindful of. I'm signed up for one of our cycle rides right now that got postponed to the fall. And, we have about 25 people in Virginia Beach that have joined the team with me. We had ridden together 5 times before all this stopped, and we were really hitting our groove. We had learned to ride in pace lines, and it was like we had to turn it off. And of course, 2 weeks ago, right, it was like, okay, we're going to turn it off. And by turning it off, we're just not going to put it on social media, but we're still going to do it. And I had to kind of step away from that, because if I'm going to tell everybody in the country that wears this officially, you can't do it, then so that's when I started riding solo. But it is tough. The distance stuff, can you do it? Absolutely. But I think it's optics too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more fatigue on that end. But then, I just think about the parents that are immunocompromised. If one of them were to get sick, which I think we probably have 1 to 2 degrees of separation of friends whose parents are sick right now, which means our friends can't go to the hospital to see their parents. And even worse, a kid gets sick, and if a parent can't go with them, because I don't want to be a part of propagating that or prolonging it. So that's kind of where I am.
Yeah. So as you've been starting to ride solo, what have you been listening to keep yourself entertained?
So I actually, I don't wear earbuds when I'm out on the road. On the trainer, we've been doing a lot of Zoom rides, so it's fun. I get to talk to people, which actually does feel like a group ride, to be honest.
It's got to be super similar, because it's not ever you're looking at each other a ton when you're on the bike.
Yeah, on a bike. It's actually probably a little bit more intimate, right? There's a little bit more, you don't have to worry about, crashing or anything like that. Um, but I've always like I forget about podcasts and then I like bring them back. So I've actually started listening to the BibRave podcast more. I never listened to Serial or anything like that. None of that stuff.
Dude,
So
your capacity to ignore really good audio and video content it's
I know.
incredible.
I love sci-fi books. So I just
Oh.
read a lot of sci-fi, man.
Oh, interesting.
You did have a very extensive book
yeah.
conversation when we were at Disney. I remember that.
I looked into, well, we had it in Portland here too, after the Portland Food and Wine Festival that we went to.
But then you watched Tiger King. You haven't watched Making a Murder, but you've watched Tiger King.
Yeah. I'm like a massive extrovert, and somehow I managed to not watch that other stuff and still not get FOMO. But now that I'm an extrovert stuck at home, I felt like the only way that I could like really like still interact with people was to do what everyone was doing.
It's true though.
So
like
true.
you
That's
kind of
why
need
we
to like
finished.
it's hard to have a conversation right now with like a large group of people because Tiger King unfortunately is going to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like 3 weeks or no, probably a month ago before all this hit. I like was a holdout on McMillions. I don't know if you guys have watched that
watched
yet,
it
but
too.
like
Well, because
I was like, I gotta watch this. Jeez.
everybody's talking about
Yeah,
it.
we felt we did the same thing because of that. But watch The Founder. That is awesome. Michael Keaton is Ray Kroc.
Michael Keaton.
So good.
Yeah.
It's a good McDonald's.
I do want to see that.
Yeah, is that a Netflix? No, I think we had to rent it.
Rented
Yeah,
it, but again,
it's totally worth your $3.99 or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
It's interesting to talk about being an extrovert trapped at home. I haven't really thought about that. I still can't really decide what I am. I think I'm definitely more extroverted. I think I'm definitely more extroverted, but I'm also fine.
I think you're extroverted.
I'm pretty fine. I don't need it. I think where I'm confused is I know introverts where being in large groups is draining and they need to then go away and recharge somewhere in the quiet or in solitude,
Turtle time.
Turtle time? I've never heard of
that.
that. I like that.
Kristen's my wife's an introvert. We call it turtle time when she needs to go.
just
which turtle time, pre-COVID, turtle time was still 90% of our life. So it's not a big change for her.
So one, love that. I love new terminology. So I don't need turtle time, but I also don't need big groups. Like when I've seen you, in lots of different group settings, you're clearly an extrovert and you clearly like thrive in those. But I don't feel like I'm depleted from a lack of that exposure. Does that make me one or the other?
I'm not sure.
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm like a little
extrovert,
confused.
Tim.
Yeah, I would say that too. I guess that's just the point of confusion.
And like, I guess for me, like I still like, just again, transparency, like get the human interaction from my core group of friends that I want. Like we have 2 fishing holes that's still like completely okay to fish. And there's only 2 of us there at a time. And we stand literally 30 feet apart. So the past week as like Virginia's got to stay at home order till June 10th.
I know.
Guys, it's like 72 days away. And it's like right now, I think one of the more extreme ones in the country. I think everybody will probably catch up.
Yep.
But so example, like that fishing thing, like they've closed the beaches in Virginia Beach to accept exercise and fishing. And so
left fishing,
yeah. So I'll talk to a friend from 30 feet away and fish. And that's for now enough. Talk to me in 60 days and
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Jen on our team is in Virginia. So we heard all about the extremely long reaching stay-at-home order for Virginia.
Yeah. Well, if you are into history, we have a podcast recommendation. If you're into history, The Cold War, What We Saw.
Oh.
It might be on YouTube as well.
Interesting. Thank you, Ryan Day. I Run on Beer. That is like right up my alley. Ryan, if you have not listened to Hardcore History, that is, if you like if you like history podcasts, Hardcore History is the gold standard, and it is. He takes some like well-reported items like World War II. There's lots there, but kind of deep dives onto a specific area, like the Eastern Front at the end, or World War I. He has like a 5 or 6 part series on that, but it's really deep dive stuff and he does great storytelling.
I just, for the past 45 seconds, thought you were talking to Ryan, the guest, not Ryan, the commenter. But were you talking to Ryan, the commenter?
I was talking to the purple guy.
Oh, okay. Was it Ryan that commented?
Yep.
Yes, that is confusing. Yeah.
2 Ryans on the internet. Can you believe it?
Yeah. We are few and far between.
Yeah.
Not really.
So we also wanted to take time to talk about a new initiative that BibRave is launching that Team in Training is supporting. We are trying to leverage this moment where a lot of people's normal fitness activity has been shut down, either a gym or a studio, a group ride, a group run, and they're having to go alone at these activities or try running alone for the first time. And it's exciting, but also it's hard to start running. Like, I was not a runner growing up. I resisted it for so long. So we want to kind of welcome these people gently, not overwhelm them, but also let them know, yes, we know it sucks. Yes, the first mile is always hard for me personally. I know a lot of people feel the same way. So yeah, I have somebody in my life that I message a lot to try to get her to run, only because I know it would help her, and I love peer pressuring people to do things that I think would be great for them. So that's how I've been channeling my like energy around Release the Runner, is like, hey, you've been working inside your home all day. You don't go out for anything else. If you do one thing,
Well,
just
she
go
had been,
out.
she's like a classic example where she would go to Pilates and that's no longer on offer. And she would go to the gym off the menu. So she's like very representative of people who would benefit and I think will benefit. But also we know that there are so many more people out there that are just like, it's this weird moment because running has struggled for a long time to get people just like try it, like just start running a couple times a week. And now that's just happening because of this, crazy environment we find ourselves in. So very exciting to like hopefully help nurture, support, and inform some of these people that are kind of new runners.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as we emerge from quarantine. New York Times posted did the article about the running. Is it going to be another running boom? It's going to be interesting to see how that crosswalks with the event industry, right? Because I think at the last running boom, smartphones were less prevalent than they are today, probably, and again, like the event was what you went to do. Here in Virginia Beach, there's a thing called North End Run Club that has 200 to 300 people every Tuesday night come out,
which is crazy.
So it'll be
I've
interesting to see if the running boom, converts into increased event attendance, or if the running boom and converts to more people moving mindfully, but registering or not registering. I think that's going to be really interesting, and we've got our work cut out for us to convert those runners into event registrants to drive value into their lives.
Yeah, I think it will, and not just because I'm an optimist, but like, it is a struggle to maintain a habit when you don't have a goal. And you can have a goal that's not in real life. And I know a lot of people are turning to virtual events, but I think that once people can meet up in real life, nothing can replace that feeling. Crossing the finish line, people cheering for you, like that gets me excited. And I think, and I've seen it before, I've seen other people like experience that and like how it's changed them. So
and I've definitely seen people like I think people intellectually know that who haven't experienced it. Like if you take a non-runner or somebody who doesn't run at all right now, they know that 5Ks and 10Ks are a thing, and they probably think those things are out of reach for them. They think even that adds some like allure. They're like, I could never run a 10K. Yeah. But here after like 8 weeks, they're probably going to be ready to run a 10K, or at least much, much closer than they ever have been before. So then all of a sudden there's this like little spark of excitement where they're like, maybe I could do that. And that's where it's going to be like the race's responsibility to convert and to like bring them in, to like have them get their first hit, because it really is a different experience to be on that start line. Like there are a few places that are just like that reliably exciting. When you're just like standing there ready to go, it is awesome.
One thing that made me think of kind of in the fundraising space, that's a little, tenuous right now. Like, how do we ask? Do we ask? Do we not ask for cancer research? And look, cancer didn't go away when COVID started. Right. The need is still there. We just launched a COVID-19 patient assistance program today. And so as we kind of mindfully move forward and try to be tone appropriate, right, or whatever you want to call it, we're focused on trying to be there for our fam and our people now, and growing our community and our tribe now, so that when it's appropriate to ask them to step up for the mission again and raise money, they'll be there. And so I wonder what the equivalent of that is for us in the endurance space and the event space, in terms of, providing a space for people to be a part of something bigger than themselves now, so that when it, when it's time to ask them to invest in us again, they're there to do it.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting juxtaposition.
I was seeing your guys messaging about the patient assist program, and so to my understanding, it's people who have cancer who still need to pay for their treatments, whose employment might have been affected through all of the
Yeah.
just employment issues that are affecting everybody. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the, I've been, again, 11 years, and you know, one of the things I'm most proud of at this organization is that truly does put our money where the mouth is. So like it's a relevant issue here and now, and like sure we can rally funding or to support that, but the fact that we're able to do that while also again going dormant elsewhere, certainly affecting top line revenue by doing so, but just I think got to follow your gut in those situations. So yeah.
Okay, let's shift topics. I want to know, since you've been at home for so long now and we're on lockdown, everybody's adjusting to new lifestyles and habits. What is a like positive habit you've noticed in the past couple weeks that you're like, oh, this is awesome that I started to do this. I want to carry this forward even past my lockdown life?
Riding my bike every day. I know we're talking about releasing the runner, and I'm pumped to be a part of that. I'm pumped to get more people running.
That is fine.
But I spent more than I should have on my bike less than a year ago, and I rode it less than I should have for the past 6 months. And the past 4 weeks, I've ridden it almost every day. And so, yeah, that for me, it's like rediscovering things that I know I love, but that I've been reticent to take part in.
Yeah.
So
look at you being all wholesome and healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try.
How about you, Tim? What's been your latest new habit that you're super into?
Again, I just like feel bad now because it's going to be, I bought an Xbox and I play Call of Duty now.
Okay, I would love to play Call of Duty with you.
Dude,
you know I have an Xbox.
I just learned today. So this is my first gaming console since Sega Genesis, which I did not buy for myself. So first one I've ever purchased. Haven't played a game like this probably since like 2004. Like
I haven't played in like 3 or 4 years to be transparent.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to.
But it's kind of like I worried about the serial phenomenon for me, where I'm just like, boy, I really like this, and boy, I think about this a lot.
Dry cinnamon toast crunch fingers while you're gaming.
I know.
If it goes until August, I'm probably just gonna welcome that
Instagram
persona.
Storing Tim just in a hole.
Could Chris Heisler please buy an Xbox? He's probably not listening to this, but I sure would love for him to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, well, we know how to reach him.
Mm-hmm. That could be arranged. But yeah, so like
JT Service too. Could you both get Xboxes?
JT's not allowed to ever go off quarantine. That dude is absolutely killing me.
Yes.
Yeah, he sent me this, by the way.
Oh, is this part of his fundraising for Team in Training?
Oh, I did get a hot box, yeah. But actually, funny story. I got the San Diego Running Company and Eric Berenberg's hot box, and Eric Berenberg got Ryan's hot box.
Dude does one thing and he can't get the logistics for the hot box right.
So for background for our listeners, very nice. Little run local. JT Service, who's been a BibRave podcast guest. If you haven't listened to that episode, look it up because it is a very great episode. He owns Run Local Events, which hosts a number of events in the Bay Area. He is fundraising for Team in Training for America's Most Beautiful Bike Ride. And he posted on Instagram that he basically took a box
I'll get it.
from an Amazon package and basically cut off the flaps and put it in bed with him so he could put his hot beverages. And then he branded it the Hot Box.
He did this whole like Instagram story where he was explaining what the Hot Box was and what you could do with it and how you could make it. And he said, if anybody wants a Hot Box of their own, pledge some money to my Team in Training page and I will send you a Hot Box.
And the response was like a lot of people responded.
Yeah. Hot boxes are versatile because you can use them for hot beverages or you can use them to put all your cords in.
Wow. So it's a cord organizer?
So hot box or die.
Oh, very nice.
Go team.
Yes.
And even better, San Diego Running Company.
Easily overwhelmed.
But I really liked it because, a lot of people try to think of creative ways when they have fundraised for a race. And, that was one of the most creative ideas I've ever seen.
So last night did you watch his story last night?
I did not.
Oh, man. So he's like pretending to be an influencer. And so he's like, he had not charcoal, like a
face mask,
a
mud mask.
That's a charcoal.
Yeah, like a charcoal mud mask on. And he was just like, I put this on 3 times a day, 4 times a night, All the time. Just trying to be as
That's good.
spacey sounding as he could be. So
How
he's
do
not
we?
allowed to
He
ever
did
go off
admit
quarantine.
he did admit to me that he pretty sure he spent more money shipping these because they're so oddly shaped around the country
Yes,
than he got in
because he
donations.
put them in other boxes to ship them, which is
Somebody
just
donated like
outstanding.
$10 and it cost him like
Yeah.
20.
How did we
God
get on
bless
this
him.
topic? Oh, we were talking about other boxes, X boxes. That was Tim. How a new habit that apparently he wants to continue past quarantine.
I feel like it does a lot for problem solving. Does a lot for hand-eye coordination. Once Ryan gets on, Patrick from End Motive wants to play too. We're gonna get like team building. Like this is gonna make us better professionals.
And I, while Tim is playing Call of Duty, am cooking a lot more than I used to, and that's my new habit because I love cooking. I used to cook all the time, and I feel like as we travel a ton, we've been eating out more. And just finding excuses to not cook because it's like, oh well, if we're leaving in 2 days, we don't want to buy these groceries that are going to go bad, so let's just eat out for the next 2 days. So I've even been meal planning and exploring new recipes. And again, I used to do that stuff all the time. So
I feel like you're gonna also get back into your iPad backgammon game.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I just had a thought too, and it escaped me.
All I know is
Oh,
that if Pat McInerney gets an Xbox Live, that I feel like I should get to pick his handle, he should get to pick yours, and you should get to pick mine, and we have to play with this.
I'm down. Already got it, so he and I bought it the same day. Um,
Perfect.
are you guys ordering food, like ordering takeout or delivery?
Yeah, there's a few restaurants that one of them actually just closed last night, unfortunately, after doing their best to stay open. But yeah, we are doing carry out now, but having daily conversations about is that okay? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
And shoot, man, like some of my best friends, a guy named Steve, who owns a restaurant called Le Grand that I was going to take you guys to if you came for
Oh
Shamrock.
yeah.
Um,
Is that what
and
that
like
burger that you had on IG the other day?
best burger in the world.
Oh man, it looks so good.
So once or twice a week, yeah, we are still doing carry out, which it's not even carry out. It's like you pull up, they put it in your back seat if you put your window down, and then like you've paid online. So
Mm.
we do wipe those boxes and stuff down.
Yeah.
But that's for the food.
Two comments I want to address here. One, I Run on Beer said he needs to allocate more time to Warfare, which was a typo. He meant Warzone, but it's funny that he just wants to donate or allocate more time to Warfare. But yes, Ryan, you should. I agree. It's very fun. And Mikey Clemens has a question here. I'm excited about my answer for this. Recommended reading during the quarantine. So Ryan, I know you have some sci-fi books. I'll start us off here. There is a book I am reading. We actually talked about it with Sarah from Another Mother Runner. It is called River of Doubt. It is about Teddy Roosevelt taking this totally crazy adventure into South America. He's about 55 at the time. He had just lost his attempt at a third term in office. So he's kind of like not really sure what to do. He had already done those African safaris that kind of he became famous for. And the lack of preparedness and what they got themselves into on this trip is just crazy. And the author is so gifted when it comes to like narrative nonfiction. So really good storytelling. Like you feel like it's a novel. Awesome story. Candace something is the author.
Cameron.
Candace, it's a female historian. I know you didn't think females could be historians, Ryan. I knew it.
No, I was making a joke that your wife got, which was you said Candace and I said Cameron, like Candace Cameron.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you corrected me and said Candace.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you my books.
I
And then
would
Jess,
I
you
would
can
love
go.
that. I would love to move there.
I am I am gonna go with what I'm currently reading because I have too many to pick from otherwise. And I would say all three of these books are excellent, and I recommend them. One is sci-fi. It's the Expanse series. So if you look that up, it's a great read. It's also on Amazon Prime as a show now, so that's cool. The second one is called Creativity Inc. It's the story of Pixar, which is fascinating. I didn't know that Pixar started at Lucasfilm with George Lucas, and then Steve Jobs bought it, and then Apple sold it to Disney. So that's wild. And then How to Change Your Mind. I'm a big Michael Pollan fan. He did Omnivore's Dilemma. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
Yep.
How to Change Your Mind is another book that he has put out relatively recently. that's a pretty interesting read.
All about psychedelics. He made the
Yeah.
podcast rounds very aggressively,
Yes.
so I heard him on like every podcast
Yeah.
I
I would
listened
still
to.
read the book though.
Sure.
It is a great book.
He's a
I'm
great
halfway
author.
through it. Yeah, yeah, great author.
Side note before I answer, if anybody has read Omnivore's Dilemma, I also recommend a documentary we recently watched in
Yeah.
Team BibRave. We have a documentary club on Team BibRave. It's called Biggest Little Farm? Littlest Big Farm?
I think The Biggest Little Farm.
The Biggest Little Farm.
Biggest Little Farm. Yeah.
Have you seen that, Ryan?
It's super cute, and they go in depth about the type of like sustainable farms that Michael Pollan writes about in his book, but just the cinematography is amazing, and it just looks so beautiful. It really brings it to life in a way that the book can't, just because of all the great video footage they capture. So I recommend that. And then for me, the current book I'm reading is not great, so I will rewind to a book that I have read twice and recently finished rereading, which is called Last Boat Out of Shanghai. It is about the people that fled Shanghai when the Communist Party was taking over. And it is a ton of stories that just we never learn about growing up, because we don't really learn a lot about Asian history in our school system in the States. And, my parents are involved in that story because my grandfather was in the Chinese Navy, but not in the Communist Party. They were fighting the Communist Party, and they literally fled to Taiwan in 1949 when the Communist Party won. And I've never heard those stories from them, and so it tells 4 different stories of people who fled to the U.S., somebody who fled to Taiwan, somebody who fled to Hong Kong, and it just is fascinating. And for me, because it resonated personally with me, it made me think about like other current refugee crises in different ways, because I had that personal connection. So I highly recommend it. Again, it's not a topic that gets written about.
It does a really good job also of telling what Shanghai was like before the communists took over, and just the state of China at the time. And it gives you a good sense for how absolutely violent and chaotic it was.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah, it's good.
Sweet.
It's good. Let's kick it there.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Ryan.
Got one more thing.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I know what's going to happen, but sometimes Ryan
I love
always
that
has
before this, I was
surprise.
like, Ryan, if you need to like look something up, feel free. Like, this will be a casual conversation. He's left the screen completely twice.
Yeah.
That is acceptable.
Our BibRave flag that was going to make an appearance at our BibRave Pro Summit.
Oh, that's so
which
great.
Was obviously canceled with the race, but
I'm never giving it back.
I want you just fly it outside your door, and then we'll call it even.
That drove sales in the BibRave store too, because Tony Yamanaka quickly went to the store wanting to buy a flag, because he's like, effing Hatcher's all smug with his flag, so I wanted to get one of my own. So instead I bought a singlet.
And I had a BibRave Pro
Eating your
reach
heart
out.
out.
Yeah, he was like,
That's
"Oh, how do
right.
we get a flag like that?" So I was like, "Oh, maybe we do need to offer flags in the store." Mental note.
Send them to me. I will. It can be yours for the nice donation to my fundraising page.
Yes, you just start
Just reach out to
arbitraging.
me.
Yes, just arbitrage BibRave swag for your donations.
At Ryan M. Hatcher on Instagram.
Yeah.
Love
my
it.
This
gosh.
flag can be yours.
Lots of love and comments in the chat about the flag. So, thanks for ending on that note. High note. Always good to catch up with you
Yeah, stay safe. Say hi to Kristen. We'll be in touch.
on House Party or
Stay home.
Xbox. Yeah.
Don't touch your face. Bye.
Later.
Bye.